All right, let's make sure the stream is working. Here we go. I am present now. Present and accounted for. Okay. So, all right, we are good now. For anybody that's here for the false start 5 minutes ago, sorry about that. But all right, Ryder Cup final day, all done. Ryder Cup is over, unfortunately. But before we get in, just make sure go through the social plugs. So anybody that's coming for any of the social, whether it be Twitter, TikTok, I think they're the only two I posted on. Of course, YouTube Shorts if you're there as well. Welcome to the show, and make sure you follow or subscribe over at Doc Marags Golf at any of the social channels. And then if you notice behind me today, so do have a little partnership going with shankitgolf.com. They do have some sick gear, whether it be the hats. The hats fit very well, and I have a big head, if you can't tell in the video. So, and they fit like super well. They got the rope hats. I don't have them on right now because I don't feel like running to get one of the hats upstairs, but fit very comfortable. The polos are also super comfortable. Awesome colors and different patterns on them. So go check that out. You get 15% off with the code DocMarags. So check that out. And without any further ado, let's get right into the Ryder Cup show final day recap here. So after the whole Saturday afternoon kerfuffle, USA with a little momentum coming into today at 10.5 to 5.5, which if they were to win that, it would be the biggest comeback of all time. Previously, it was 10-6 was the biggest one, but it wasn't meant to be. Of course, also got a little twisted tea, so gonna need some of that as we go too. Especially after this whole weekend. Thankfully, I did get a little palate cleanser and played a little golf myself yesterday. Played pretty well, 81 at a course that I never played before. Nobody's here for that though. All right, so we get into it. Scotty and John Rahm go out first, and it was a good match the whole time. It was back and forth, but coming down to it, of course, Scotty kind of blows it on 18. He actually had a chance to close that out on 17. Wasn't able to do it. Had about a 12-foot putt. Couldn't make it to close it out. And it was a point that the USA really needed. Come down 18. He pushes it into the right rough. It actually wasn't a terrible lie, it didn't look like, but kind of sculls it a little bit over the green. Almost goes into the water, which was a disaster. Rahm makes birdie. Scotty has to get up and down and make birdie. Wasn't able to do it, so the 18th hole continued to be a disaster for the USA in the first match. So, I mean, he didn't lose it, but they needed a full point. Ends up tying that with John Rahm. Next match, Victor Hovland just stomps out Colin Morikawa. Those two, that was a cool combo because they both came onto the PGA Tour at the same time. Classmates of that year, you could say. And so Morikawa still has the two majors, obviously, but they both feel like a long time ago at this point. He really stunk this week. Did not play well. I don't have all of the records for all of the players yet, but I don't think you really need records right now to know who played well and who didn't. Colin Morikawa did not play well. Just one of the captain's picks that didn't do well. I think if I do recall, the captain's picks for the USA went 4-12-2 is what I might have heard. So not great. A little bit of an indictment on Zach Johnson there, but he's not playing in the Ryder Cup. The rest of these players are, so whatever. Cantlay, he is able to take care of business against Justin Rose and his ungodly putting. I tweeted earlier in the day, I don't think he missed a consequential putt the entire week or the entire 3 days. And then he continued to make more and more putts. But honestly, that match could have been over earlier if Rose wasn't making all those putts, but he did. Justin Rose is definitely going to be a future Ryder Cup captain for Team Europe, and his staying on PGA Tour definitely helped him out with that. Same thing for Luke Donald. And honestly got a lot of respect for Justin Rose. Really helped out Bob McIntyre for a lot of the week. And, yeah, just seems like a great guy. Incredibly clutch with the putting this week, so good for him. Cantlay, he was either the MVP or probably the second best player on the USA team behind Max Homa. And honestly, that's not something I would have expected. But he did play well. He was able to overcome all the adversity that was going on throughout the week, whether it be mostly just the Hatgate thing. So that was fun. That gave a little more juice to the final day. But Cantlay, like I said, took care of business. Rory was the next matchup, so they were actually following each other. I'm sure they were on the tee box at the same time at some point, so that was probably a little interesting. And if you hear afterwards, in an interview after Rory won, he crushed Sam Burns. Never really gave him a chance. He was just Rory was steady the whole week. Top point getter for Team Europe. I think he went 4-1 for the week. But he said he never talked to Joey, even though there was a report from NBC that they did kind of meet this morning. Never happened. But if you were able to hear in the trophy presentation, he was talking to Steve Stricker. He said that he did text LaCava, so we'll see if that's all squashed. But yeah, like I said, Rory never really gave Sam Burns a chance. Next up, Brian Harman gets crushed by Tyrrell Hatton. Harman played decent Saturday, but he was pretty much unremarkable. I think Max carried him quite a bit. But again, he was another captain's pick that didn't do well. Next match, Brooks pretty much beats down the young phenom in Ludwig Abear or whatever, however you say it. No disrespect to Ludwig. But I think he had a good showing, solid first Ryder Cup for Ludwig. Unfortunately for Brooks, the only thing that he's probably going to be remembered for in the 2023 Ryder Cup is getting his ass beat 9-7 yesterday with Scotty Scheffler in foursomes. Foursomes is not good for Team USA. So, getting through all those matches to start, it is 14-8 at this point. So, Europe only needs a half a point going forward. So, basically, it's all over, right? Yeah, pretty much, but there gets to be some hope. So this brings us to Max Homa and Matthew Fitzpatrick. Max, another one with a chance to close it out on 17, but he, similarly to Scotty, he misses like a 12 to 15-foot putt to close it out. And here we go on 18 once again. He just kind of skanks his second shot into the right rough, but so does Matt Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick has a much better lie in that right rough on 18. Max ends up getting in like this really high grass right above the bunker. Can't really do anything with it. Takes an unplayable, which you think, all right, well, this is over now. He has to get up and down. Fitz has to miss his putt. He's in there probably 10 feet. And Max hits a great chip. He's in there to about like 6 feet. Fitz misses his birdie putt, and Max gets it up and down. A lot of emotion there. Awesome putts that he basically blacked out. And Max was able to prolong the American hope after Fitz misses his birdie putt, like I said. So 14-9 now. And keep moving down the leaderboard. 14-9. At this point, the United States is up in 3 matches. And in the last 2 matches, they're only 1 down in the final 2. So if they're able to get let's see. If they're able to get all four wins there, my math is off there. It's 13-9 at this point. So if they're able to get 4 of those 5 matches, then they are good. So Xander takes care of Nikolai, so then it is, my math is wrong. It's 14-9 at that point. Xander takes care of Nikolai, it's 14-10. So Nikolai, he had a bad week. Honestly, I didn't think he played awful. He didn't play well. He was probably the worst player on Team Europe, him and Bob, but didn't have the best week. Only player on Team Europe without a point. So Xander, he wins, but he also sucked most of the week. He was definitely towards the bottom and very disappointing for the United States. He's a top, I think he's the 5th ranked player in the world. You need a top 5 player in the world to play better than that. Honestly, he probably got lucky with his pairing in singles playing Nikolai. But, tough week for Xander. Didn't do well. So he was able to take care of Nikolai. It's 14-10. I know the math is good now. I'm sorry for that confusion there. So it's 14-10. USA has some life, and now it comes down to the buddies, the boys. JT, Spieth, and Ricky need to come up clutch. And quickly, once we have some of this hope, we're like, oh, maybe they can turn around those last two matches. Ricky proceeds to go in the water on 16. Just not even close. Hits a big slice right into, like, basically the middle of the pond. Just not good at all. And okay, he hits a pretty decent chip there. He has to make par. He's probably 5 feet out, and Tommy Fleetwood is putting for eagle, so he needs a 3-putt, and Ricky needs to make his putt for par just to continue on the match. Tommy hits a little kind of pretty bad lag putt, so he's 3 feet out, and so you have to know at this point, if you're Ricky Fowler, like, if you give them a half a point, it's over. Like, that's all you need at that point. It's 14-10. Europe wins the cup with another half point. So Tommy is 3 feet out after his lag putt, and he gives him the putt. He concedes that putt without even making him see it. Like, I saw a tweet. It's like, Ricky, total class, conceding that putt on 16. It's like, you're not here to be classy. You're here to win the Ryder Cup. Like, you can't give that putt away. And just an absolute joke. Ricky, I'm good on Ricky Fowler. Should never be on another Ryder Cup team again. Has just been awful throughout his career in the Ryder Cup. And I did see a stat that Ryder Cups that Ricky Fowler has been a part of, the United States is 1-4 in those Ryder Cups. So just really bad. Ricky stunk this week too. He only played in 2 matches, sucked in both of them. No idea what his deal was coming into this week, and we're gonna get into that a little bit later. But at this point, it's game over. Was kind of funny on 16 after Tommy Fleetwood was conceded his putt by Ricky. Had some runners hopping in the pond on 16. They ran like right by Tommy, Tommy's caddy made a little effort to maybe go grab the guy, and then he kind of said, screw it. The guy dove into the pond, telling everybody else to come in. A couple more people jumped into the pond with him, so that was fun. That was cool. Good to see there. So it's over at this point. It is 14.5-10, and yeah, like I said, it's game over. So we got, I believe, 4 more matches on the course. No, we got 3 more matches on the course with JT and Straka, Shane Lowry and Jordan Spieth, and Wyndham Clark and Bob McIntyre. JT ends up beating Straka 1-up. Straka had a so-so week. He was kind of middle of the pack for Europe, probably towards the bottom. JT obviously didn't have his best stuff, but wasn't the worst on the team. He was also probably towards the bottom of the team, though. But I will say he was annoying as shit with doing the old fake hat tip thing after every like made putt that he had. Like, you weren't even involved in the whole thing. Like, I get you're trying to support your teammate, but it wasn't you. It was Cantlay. So it was just really annoying. Like, just stop, man. Like, you guys are getting crushed, and they ended up getting crushed. Well, next match, Spieth is playing Shane Lowry, like I said, and Spieth just continues his poor Ryder Cup singles performance, just pissing away that match. I think he was 2 up, I think, on 15 or 14, and he just loses it. He ends up losing on 18. He was the final one on the course, actually, at that point, as the whole crowd kind of wrapped around the 18th green. And, he lost 1 down to Shane Lowry, who was also awful this week. So bad versus bad there. Shane Lowry was pretty annoying all day, too. He played really bad and just whatever. You want to pump up the crowd, but you didn't play well all week. Whatever. So at this point, there's 1 more match to go. This was already done, but Wyndham Clark has a just embarrassing loss to Bob McIntyre. Bob McIntyre ends up going, I think, undefeated on the week. I think he had 2 ties with Justin Rose, and obviously he beat Wyndham Clark today, so I believe Bob McIntyre had more points than Scotty Scheffler, which is gross. You can't have that from your number 1 player in the world, but yeah, what are you going to do? Honestly, I got more from Bob than I thought Team Europe was going to get. And that was the theme of the tournament. Or the Ryder Cup, you got more out of less on Team Europe, and you got less out of more if you're Team USA. So at that point, it's all over. Wyndham Clark, I don't think you're ever going to see him on Ryder Cup again. He just, like I said, I think after the first day, cannot stand up to pressure at all. He don't know how he won the U.S. Open. I'll say it again. I'll keep saying it. I don't know how he held it together. He barely held it together at the U.S. Open. And just not a fan of him. And I don't think you're going to be seeing him on any more Ryder Cup teams. I think this whole year is probably a fluke year for him with the Ryder Cup. And I'm cool with never seeing him again. He'll probably win a couple more PGA Tour events. I don't think he's going to win another major. See you later, Wyndham Clark. So at this point, final score is 16.5 to 11.5. Team Europe gets it done. Still no 16-12 finishes ever in the history of the Ryder Cup. I predicted a 16-12 win for Team USA prior to starting the week, and it finishes 16.5, 11.5 for Team Europe. So they are all the matches. And then getting into just my final thoughts on the Ryder Cup in general. So getting back to some captain's picks, Zach Johnson, Ricky Fowler. It wasn't going to matter probably regardless of Ricky conceding that putt, but you just can't do that. But should we be talking a little bit more about Ricky Fowler's captain pick other than JT or Sam Burns? So neither JT or Sam Burns had their best stuff this week, but at least they contributed some points. I don't think JT had any wins, but I think he might have had one or two ties there, which, all right. No, JT won his singles match there, but so at least they put some points on the board. Rick, what was Ricky doing in Italy? If he's going to play two matches, he gets crushed. There's the report of him having the sniffles after the first day. I don't know what's going on there. Like Ricky, he's another one. Take him away. Don't need to ever see him again on a Ryder Cup. I feel like he built up a lot of goodwill this entire year, and everybody was kind of rooting for him. He had his chance at the U.S. Open, and after today, like, I'm good on Ricky Fowler. Like, I don't need to see anymore. I think he pissed away all of his goodwill, at least for me. Like, he's a golfer. He's fine, but he's not something that's going to inspire confidence in a team. He's not really a leader. He's a nice guy, sure, but he's not what you need on a Ryder Cup team. And it wasn't good. Just really, really bad. And for that matter, captain's picks, we need to talk about Jordan Spieth too. He was the worst player on the team. He was bad. Ricky Fowler, he only played two matches, so we didn't really get to see as much of Ricky Fowler. But Jordan Spieth stunk today. He has been awful in singles his entire match play career, whether it be here, President's Cups, match play in general. I think in the Dell match play on the PGA Tour, he is stunk in match play. He's probably just been carried. I think we might have overlooked the combo of Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth. Prior to this year, Justin Thomas has always been a constant top 10 player in the world, and he probably carried Jordan Spieth a lot. Sure, they have good chemistry which helps out a little bit, but Jordan Spieth, I don't know, man. I think he might be another one where I don't know if I need to see him on Ryder Cup teams anymore. I think he cares, but I don't think he's a leader. I don't think he inspires confidence. I don't think people on the other team are afraid of him. That might be a hot take, but I don't know if Jordan Spieth is deserving. Other than him caring about it, I don't know if he's deserving of, if he doesn't qualify, I don't know if he's deserving of captain's picks going forward. Unless, obviously, he rounds into really good form again. Sure, whatever. But he has a history, much like Ricky Fowler, of being bad at Ryder Cups. So, especially in singles. Captain's picks were bad, like I said, which leads us right into Zach Johnson. Immediately in the interview afterwards, I think they're still right around the green on 18. Finally, he shows some emotion. He's crying. Get out of here with that. You've been a lifeless robot for 3 days. You don't have any takes. There's no entertainment aspect to it. You're not really inspiring any confidence in this team. Get at it. You're going to show it after everything's all over. get out of here with that. Like, honestly, in my opinion, worst captain since Tom Watson, and it was just bad. Zach Johnson was an awful captain. Made some awful pairing picks. Starting with his first pick of Scotty Scheffler and Sam Burns going out there first. Sam Burns, a total rookie. Scotty, you assume you're going to get good stuff, but he hasn't had his form just right from the jump. And even before that, never really had confidence in Zach Johnson. He has this wild resume of winning the Open at St. Andrews. He won the Masters, which is crazy, but he's just a guy. Again, he's another one that doesn't inspire confidence if you're a player on the United States team. Like, you want something out of your captains. If he's not going to give you any confidence, if he's not going to inspire you, what are you doing? Like, at least they said afterwards, Luke Donald, the team said that Luke doesn't talk a lot, but he is inspiring and he really gets them to rally around each other. Zach Johnson, you stunk, man. You were really bad, just awful, and you're a big part. You're not a majority of the reason why, but you're a big percentage point as into why this United States team did get up for the Ryder Cup. So at this point, like, where does Team USA go? Like, this felt like the time. I thought it was going to be the time. Obviously, picking a 16-12 win, and it gets flipped even worse the other way. Like, honestly, at this point, like, what do you do now? They've gone back to the drawing board and redrew it up so many times. Again, I felt like this was the right team. Felt like a bunch of guys that had pretty good chemistry. There was no Tiger, no Phil with their big personalities and just big auras around them. And it's just the same shit, probably worse, honestly. It just was really bad right from the jump. When it comes down to it, I think they just don't get up for Ryder Cups like Europe. And especially if you're trying to break this 30-year drought and you can't get up for it, again, I think that goes back to some Zach Johnson not really inspiring this team. It goes back to them not playing really much at all before the Ryder Cup, so there's not a lot of reps going into it. But I think that's a lame excuse. Like, they're professional golfers. They've played in plenty of events. They know what it feels like. All of these guys have played in major championships before. So I don't like that excuse of them not playing in enough competition beforehand. Like, they know what they're doing. They know what they're getting into. It was just really bad. And, yeah, you could say you care about the Ryder Cup till you're blue in the face, but it doesn't show. You can't get up for the Ryder Cup when you're trying to break this streak. And it just doesn't seem like there's any leaders on this American team. So you go down the list. Scotty, not a leader. He's a great golfer, but he's not a leader. You've got Patrick Cantlay. He's a great golfer. I don't think he's a leader. I think he's got great composure, but he's not a leader who's going to inspire people. Xander Schauffele stinks. He stinks. I don't think he cares about anybody but himself for the most part. Justin Thomas, I think he is probably the leader on this team. And I think he is a guy that he didn't play well this year, but at least he brings emotion to it, which is what you need to rile people up, get your team going. I think him and surprisingly Max Homa. I don't know if Max has like the leadership abilities, but having the President's Cup, which he crushed, having the Ryder Cup, which he went 3-1-1, crushed. I think at this point he has the ability to rise up. He might have been like, maybe I'm not the leader. Like, there's other guys in the room right now, but I think it might be up to Max and Justin Thomas, and I really can't think of anybody else that's really gonna galvanize the team and inspire them and help them to wake up for Ryder Cups. Like Brooks, he's got the killer mentality, but he's definitely not a leader. I don't know how much he really cares. And then going forward, like, the captains always seem to get out schemed. And yeah, I did see a tweet from Big Randy from No Laying Up about tweeting for Phil to be the Ryder Cup captain for 2027 at Adair Manor, which honestly I'm all for it. Like, you gotta totally flip things. Like, you can't keep going back to the same stuff. Sure, they said that it was different this time. They've got the whole whatever that group they had together, the task force. What did that do in Europe? Nothing. Sure, you won in at Whistling Straits, crush at Whistling Straits, but you're probably going to crush at Bethpage. We're going to see. I think this European team might be better suited to win at on U.S. soil, but we'll see. But give me Phil next time we go to Europe. That would be sick. He is somebody that can. He's thrown away a lot of his reputation, but if he could bring that back, if he can apologize a little bit and kind of get some of these guys behind him, we'll see. But I think that would be. I think Phil Mickelson as captain in 2027 at Adair Manor might just be what the United States needs. And then, so like, what does the future of these teams look like from personnel standpoint? Just talked about the captains. So let's look at Europe. We know they're going to have a lot of the same guys. They have these young studs coming up. Ludwig looked pretty good. Nikolai held his own for a little bit there. I think getting this under his belt is going to be very helpful for him going forward. He's got his brother Rasmus, which will be, if they're playing duos, foursomes, four-ball, whatever, I think that could be a big-time thing for them. Obviously, they're still going to have Rom. They're going to have Rory. They're going to have Victor. Who else? They're probably still going to have Tommy in 2 years. They're going to have... Who else? I don't know. But that's what, six, 7 guys that we know for sure they're going to be there. And then America? I don't know. I talked about Ricky Fowler, don't need to see him again. I talked about Jordan Spieth. I don't know if he's deserving of being on more Ryder Cups going forward. Justin Thomas, probably, yeah. Brooks, I don't know. Where's Brooks going to be in 2 years? Is he going to care? Is he going to be playing golf in 2 years? Who else? Max Homa, I think he continues with how he's been playing the last few years. He's absolutely going to be an American stalwart going forward. But beyond that, truly, I don't know what this team looks like going forward. Sure, Scotty's probably going to be there, but we already talked about him. He'll probably be a team member, but he's just not somebody that's going to bring the energy, I don't think. Patrick Cantlay probably be there. Xander, I don't know. He plays consistently well, but he never does anything special under the big lights. Never good in majors. Well, he's decent in some majors, but he never wins majors. He's never really able to rise up and do it and take it. I don't know what else is coming after that. So going forward, I think Europe has a brighter future than Team USA. And honestly, the Ryder Cups, they could get boring if this is how it's going to go. It's been blowouts since like 2010 for the home team just winning every time, just crushing. I think 2012, America crushed. 2014, Europe crushed. 2016, America crushed. 2018 in Paris, Europe crushed. 21, U.S. crushed. And obviously today and this week, Europeans crushed. And might be an overreaction at this time, but I think it's a possibility that I root for Europe at Bethpage, which I will definitely be at Bethpage Black course in New York. We're going to see, but that's not the thing. The United States team isn't like overly likable either. There's not a lot of likable guys there because a lot of them just don't inspire anything in you. Like I said with Scotty, he's a great golfer, but doesn't do anything for me. So we'll see. We'll see who I'm rooting for. I feel like that might be the case for a lot of people going forward. I'm here for entertainment, and USA gives you none. They don't really. It just doesn't. Like I said, you can say you care about the Ryder Cup till you're blue in the face, but prove it. Prove it when it really matters. When it's not just easy setups at your own courses, and you could just bomb and gouge away, and you're going to be fine. We'll see. Like I said, Europe is going to be bringing a different team in 2025. They don't have these old guys and Sergio and Lee Westwood and probably not Justin Rose. They're going to have guys that can stack up with how the Americans play. So I think it might be a close one at Bethpage. And like I said, it might be rooting for Team Europe. Who knows? But at this point, I think that's about all I've got. Overall, the Ryder Cup is still sick. Might be my favorite event, which is why instead of watching the Eagles, which is on right now, and they've been playing for an hour, huge Birds fan, ride and die, bleed green, I guess you can say. Cried at the Super Bowl when they won. But I'm covering the Ryder Cup right now when the Eagles have been playing for an hour. Hopefully they're winning. I have no idea what's going on. But I'm looking forward to meaningful golf come the new year. Major season, the Masters in April. Can't wait for that. It's unfortunate there's no really meaningful golf for the next 2.5 months. That stinks. But come the new year, I'm ready. I'm ready to keep putting out content. And for the Ryder Cup, I will see you all at Bethpage Black in New York. All right. Have a good rest of your day. Enjoy football. Make sure you follow and subscribe at Doc Marags Golf on all the socials, and I will see you next time. All right.